This is Brett McMurphy's
with
anniversary.
Okay, here is Brett McMurphy, who's going to join us in about 15 minutes or so. Happy anniversary. Time flies. It only seems like it was yesterday. Y'all tied the knot.
And
what is an anniversary? What is the anniversary?
Is the anniversary of the alliance here. This is funny. He used it's also very clever. He used the Big Ten tweet because this was the Big Ten's con job on the ACC and the Pac-12 to help them do their dirty work because this was about voting rights. They said all these things like, oh, we're going to have scheduling alliances. You're going to see Oregon and Clemson play. It's going to be awesome. You're going to say, Ohio State and USC are going to play, which was true, but just not cross conference. It's going to be amazing. Just wait until you say, Michigan versus FSU, these are going to be awesome. And what happened was they didn't want to be the only one because the playoff expansion vote had to be unanimous. They didn't want to be the only one because they didn't want their plans exposed. So they got two other conferences to vote with them and thought they were doing that in their best interest. And one of them who can't move in the ACC until 2036. So it's probably in their best interest to slow certain things down. And the other one, they had their eyes on at least two of the teams which they stole. And a year later, the Pac-12 is scrambling and they helped the Big Ten cut their own knees off.
Cold-blooded killer. All right? It's what Kevin Warren's become in a college football administrative way. And, yeah, that slowed it all down, though. So did it accomplish, though, what they wanted, the Big Ten? But did it also accomplish what college football wanted? It actually delayed what we want, right? The college football playoff expansion.
Who's we?
Yeah.
I want the expansion.
Well, but others in college football don't, so there's no, Kevin Warren didn't at the time. ACC didn't at the time.
Do you want the expansion of a playoff?
Yeah, but we don't have a
fans, but who are we compared to the power brokers that are the ones?
I'm not. Yeah, no, we don't have the decision.
Right,
to make.
and so it's like, is that what we want? Well, who cares what we want? When has college sports made a decision for the fans?
Yeah, that's a good point. God, that
Y'all want to give me an example of that, but less geography that makes sense, bigger road trips. I guess if you're an Oklahoma fan or a Texas fan, you now get to go to Ole Miss every few years and Athens, Georgia, and in that way it's worked out for you, but that's really a stretch to say that was college football working in favor of the fans. That's not really the case there. But yeah, what have they done to if it was up to the fans, the playoff would have been 16 teams 10 years ago.
20.
Even longer, 30. Hell, I remember playoff conversations in the 90s. They don't do anything for the fans. What are we talking about here? But yeah, with the Kevin Warren deal, it accomplished what it was supposed to because it put playoff expansion off the table. So
that's what my point was.
Yeah, so it accomplished what it needed to. You asked the question, did it? Yeah, clearly it did because they didn't expand the playoff, and look at everything that's come as a result of that.
It also kept ESPN from getting everything.
Yes.
Yeah. In a way. Houston, by the way, Brett McMurphy, that was the tweet a year ago today. And that was that put the brakes on everything because college football's expansion committee, playoff, had basically all but released that they were expanding.
Yeah. It was so, I just think about a year ago and the move that they pulled.
Y'all got to remember, this also, too, is under the cloud of COVID still.
Yeah.
This is all, I don't think we all realize if we really rewind our brains to 15, 18 months ago, we were all thinking a little bit differently as well,
And plus, part of the college football playoff expansion was, hey, we've lost some money because of COVID. How do we get it back? Let's expand the playoff.
Yep.
And then everybody, they had this whole subcommittee that worked up a plan that for the first time in my life as a college football fan, like Craig said earlier, nothing's ever been done for me as a college football fan. They handed something out and I read it. I went, this is something that feels exciting to me. They listened. The 4-team playoff was they begrudgingly did it. All right, shut the F up about it. We'll do something. And then all of a sudden, here you go. And it's this great playoff. And then you think, well, there's no way that anybody can get in the way of this. And, because of the COVID and all this. And then, Texas, no, you leave. The alliance happens. And then everything got slowed. And everybody's wondering at the time because the excuses that were given out were bogus. It was the things you hear like, well, we can't do it now because there's a lot to consider. And what about automatic qualifiers? And you read the proposal that they had, and you're like, well, if 12 teams get in, and it's the top 6 ranked conference champions are going to get in, if you're a Power 5 team, what is the scenario you see where one of your teams is not the top 6 ranked conference champion, or not even in the next 6? So your conference champion would be 13th? Like, what idea is in your head that that's even possible based on how college football has gone, not just recently, but forever? And all of that was talking point nonsense to get done what Kevin Warren wanted to get done, which was to slow the roll so that he had more say in this. Now everything has gone completely his way, and he's like, oh, yeah, no, I've backed off that. Well, he never backed off of it. He never really believed it. It was just a BS talking point that they could use to slow the roll.
Adam Martin, schools left out of this realignment need to be positioning themselves with Amazon, Apple, and other streaming services to negotiate their own college football playoff. Will those platforms want it?
No, probably not. No.
But, thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. To hell with them. I hope they go bankrupt.
Hopefully not. You're talking about us. But yeah, no. I mean, I understand the sentiment, but if I had to go look into a crystal ball, I don't think we're going into a direction where a lot of those, whatever, I guess I don't even want to call it like secondary, because I certainly don't feel that way. And some of the programs we cover are going to be considered that. I mean, the remaining Big 12 basically, but I don't feel that way. I do think that's ultimately going to be a really fascinating question, but only if it goes into a direction where, like, break glass, worst case scenario, emergency happens, and you really do have like this splitting off of where, a couple conferences decide, like, we're just so much bigger and so much, richer and so much everything. We need to crown our national champions. I need to see what that would look like. And that's a total, it's imaginary right now to even think about. Like, there's nothing to that necessarily. It's just us all trying to predict what this could be moving towards. And if it eventually moves towards that, I'd need to see what that landscape actually looks like before going, like, yeah, that would absolutely be the national champion, because there could be an argument that there's way too many teams being left out of the fray. But again, we're not near there yet. It feels like we're getting close to that, but I still think we're a bit of a ways from like a break off of that magnitude. And there's a lot of people involved that still maintain that would never happen, that you would never see the majority of schools left to the wayside simply for the 20 to 30 to 40, it
depends on who you ask.
It depends on who you ask. But there are people in big positions that don't feel that way.
Stephen Snook, why in Hell's Kitchen would anyone ever believe the Big Ten was going to help the Pac-12 and ACC?
The biggest question is why those two conferences were like, man, Kevin's a nice guy.
I mean, I'll go back to what I just said. I think everybody forgets that we were in the middle of COVID right then. Like, was everybody thinking the exact same way back then? I think we were all just, think about it. That seems like it was a totally different lifetime.
My reaction to that, you're right, but my reaction to that alliance was I was pissed because I wanted the playoff. Not that, again, they care what I think, but I was mad. I wasn't thinking about COVID, making up money. I was thinking about, as a lifelong college football fan, that, my God, something's happening that I never thought would happen, and they ended it, at least for them.
No, what I'm saying is that everybody was operating with COVID brain back then, and so when they made that announcement, nobody was thinking, here's Kevin Warren playing 4D chess, and this is a move that down the line is going to turn into this move. Nobody was thinking that. We were all just thinking, wow, they're overly precautious. What a bunch of lames canceling, that whole thing. And Kevin Warren's an idiot, and the Pac-12's a bunch of losers, and yet they're sitting there looking at the Big 12 going, ha, we're in an alliance now. You guys are totally screwed. You're going to be left out. And that's where the Pac-12, Big 12 resentment comes in, was the Pac, at least to the way Big 12 fans felt, was, ha, we have our partners. You're on an island by yourself, and you just got your two best teams poached. You are absolutely screwed. That was, kind of the thought. So last summer at least. But, when that whole alliance thing happened, it was – nobody knew what was going on. Everybody's brains were scrambled, and we're just like, oh, my gosh, like, this is going to be a huge deal. And it was just Kevin Warren playing super chess.
Yeah. Chris, by the way, super chat again at $5.